If you're anything like me, and probably most people listening, you feel like you're navigating this uh, daily fire hose of information.
Right. Absolutely. It's overwhelming.
Every headline just screams for your attention. Every algorithm is pushing something specific at you. And, well, frankly, knowing what to trust.
Yeah, and what to just ignore.
Exactly. It feels exhausting sometimes, almost impossible. We're all trying to be informed, obviously, but without just collapsing under the weight of it all.
Information overload is definitely real.
So how do you actually manage that flood? I mean, how do you make sure the knowledge you do take in is, accurate and durable, and maybe most importantly, actually useful?
That's the core question, isn't it?
It really is. And that's the mission for our deep dive today. We want to move past the sort of buzzwordy definitions and really get into the mechanics of the foundations of critical thinking.
Getting under the hood, so to speak.
Yeah. Our goal here is to unpack it, not as some dusty old academic idea, but it's a truly foundational skill. A kind of mental toolkit, maybe?
I like that toolkit. It empowers you.
Right. It helps you analyze information objectively, avoid that information anxiety, and actually apply what you learn effectively. Ultimately, what we found in the source material is that critical thinking is really the skill that lets you move beyond just memorizing things or blindly accepting what you're told.
Yeah, taking things at face value.
Instead, you become like the architect of your own understanding, building something solid.
Precisely. And looking at those mechanics, it's not about just being skeptical for the sake of it. That's not the point.
No.
It's about having a reliable way to process everything. What critical thinking actually does is give you a structure, a way to make sense of the chaos.
Okay.
It's essential because it's like the cognitive engine allowing you to analyze information objectively.
Objectively, right, not just based on how you feel about it.
Exactly, and to make reasoned judgments that actually hold up if someone questions them. And finally, to solve problems effectively because you understand their underlying structure, not just the surface issues.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions, maybe, is that critical thinking is just linked to having a high IQ. Like, if you're smart, you must be a critical thinker.
Yeah, that comes up a lot. But the research we looked at suggests something quite different, actually.
Right.
It suggests that someone with a really high IQ can still be a poor critical thinker if they don't, or maybe can't, question their own initial biases, their own assumptions.
So intelligence isn't enough on its own.
That's one of the most, maybe, surprising takeaways from the research, yeah. Critical thinking isn't just raw intelligence. It's intelligence applied with discipline.
Discipline, okay.
Think about it. A really smart person might see a complex problem, quickly come up with a plausible answer, maybe even a brilliant-sounding one, and then just stop thinking.
Because the answer feels right. It feels satisfying.
Exactly. It feels good. But a critical thinker, well, they don't stop there. They actively engage in what we call the 3 core actions.
The 3 core actions. Okay, so this is the toolkit you mentioned, the actual doing part.
That's right. These are the fundamental steps you need to take to turn raw data or information into reliable insight, not just noise.
Okay, where are they?
So, first, you have to constantly be questioning assumptions, asking not just, is this fact true, but is the whole premise underneath this claim actually sound?
Digging deeper than the surface facts.
Right. Second, you need to rigorously evaluate evidence. This means distinguishing between, say, an anecdote somebody told you, data that just shows a correlation, 2 things happening together, and actual causal links. Does A really cause B?
That's a big one. Correlation versus causation.
Huge. And third, and this is so crucial today, you have to be considering multiple perspectives, actively seeking them out.
Why is that so important now?
Well, if you only ever see the world or an issue through one lens, your own lens, you're kind of inherently blind. You can't see the limitations of your own argument or viewpoint.
Right, you get stuck in your own echo chamber.
Yeah.
That combination of scrutiny and breadth seems key then.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the modern world, that fire hose of info we talked about earlier. This skill set is especially important right now, isn't it? It's like that first line of defense.
Absolutely. Because critical thinking provides a systematic, almost defensive process against the sheer speed and ease with which misinformation can spread today.
How does it do that, practically speaking?
Well, think about how misinformation often works. It doesn't always have to be clever. Often it just hooks into our existing emotions or biases, our assumptions.
Okay.
When you apply critical thinking, you consciously pause that immediate emotional reaction. You step back and apply the, let's say, colder logic of evaluation.
You override the gut reaction.
You try to, yes.
Yeah.
It forces you to look at the chain of argument in a headline, for example, and ask, wait, does step A actually lead to step B here? Or is there a leap? Is something missing?
So you become your own fact checker, in a way, your own filter.
Highly effective one, ideally, yes.
That makes perfect sense. It's basically the essential skill for navigating online discussions, or just the news, without getting manipulated. Okay, so if that's the mechanism, the shield against bad info, let's look at the output, the payoff.
Right.
How does this fundamental cognitive skill actually translate into, say, immediate, measurable success, professionally or academically? It's one thing to analyze data well in theory. It's another to, get a promotion or ace a project because of it.
Oh, it translates very directly to results and also to resilience, I'd say. When companies or universities talk about their high potential people, their most successful students, they're often describing people who consistently exhibit critical thinking.
How so? What are the specific benefits?
Well, in both education and the workplace, the skill promotes really tangible things. Better decision-making, for starters, enhanced creativity, and a much greater level of adaptability.
Okay, let's break those down. Better decision-making.
Yeah, think about it. If you apply critical thinking, you stop just cycling through the same maybe 2 or 3 bad options for a problem.
Because you've already spotted why they're flawed.
Exactly. You've likely already filtered out the flawed premises underneath those bad options, so you can move forward more quickly and confidently because you understand why those old ways are bad, not just that they didn't work last time.
I think that links into the creativity and innovation part too, doesn't it? We've all been in that meeting, right?
Yeah.
Problem comes up, budget overrun, missed deadline, whatever.
Happens all the time.
And everyone immediately jumps to treating the symptoms. Let's shift funds here. Let's push that deadline back.
Patching things up.
Yeah. But the critical thinker in the room might pause and say, hold on, why did we have the overrun in the first place? And what caused that cause?
Exactly. That's the key move. Critical thinking enables people, professionals, students to identify the root causes of issues instead of just wasting time and resources on, like you said, symptom treatment.
It's the difference between constantly patching a leaky bucket
and figuring out the design flaw in the bucket itself.
Yeah. And the sources we looked at really emphasize this element of being proactive. It's not just about fixing what's already broken.
Yeah, it's also about seeing what might break down the road. Critical thinkers are highly valued because they can often anticipate potential challenges before they fully emerge. They see the underlying trends or weaknesses.
And that anticipation, does that lead to the innovation part?
It leads directly to it. If you've taken the time to question the fundamental assumptions about how things are supposed to be done in your field or on a project,
you've cleared the mental space, maybe.
You've cleared the mental runway, exactly, for genuinely new approaches. It shifts you from being just a passive participant, the person who follows the existing plan, to being a proactive contributor, someone who might redesign the plan entirely.
That makes sense.
And this skill is absolutely critical for adaptability, especially in fields that change constantly, because you're focused on analyzing the underlying principles, not just memorizing tactics that might be outdated next year.
Okay, so it's a powerful tool for work and school. But here's where I think it gets even deeper based on our reading. If we connect this professional toolkit to the bigger picture, critical thinking seems to go way beyond just career advancement. It actually shapes your personal character, your role as a citizen. The payoff isn't just performance, it's maybe maturity.
Yes. This is often the most overlooked aspect, I find. We tend to focus heavily on the external applications job, grades, but the internal application, that's potentially even more transformative.
And so, internally.
Well, on a personal level, consistently thinking critically fosters much greater self-awareness.
Self-awareness. How does questioning external info lead to that?
Because when you really dedicate yourself to questioning the evidence presented externally in the news, from colleagues, wherever, you're almost immediately forced to start questioning your own internal biases and beliefs too.
You have to apply the same standard to yourself.
You have to. And let's be honest, that's the hard work, isn't it? That's the moment where you might have to acknowledge that a deeply held opinion you've had for years, maybe it's based on flimsy evidence or flawed reasoning you picked up somewhere.
That can be uncomfortable.
It absolutely can be. But that kind of rigorous self-examination naturally leads to more open-mindedness. You become less rigid in your thinking, maybe less defensive when challenged.
Because you're more focused on the truth of the matter than on being right.
Ideally, yes, you become more willing to incorporate new, validated information, especially if it challenges your existing worldview.
And that internal transformation, becoming more open-minded, more self-aware, that must lay the groundwork for how we interact with others,
All right?
especially in public life.
Precisely. It provides the foundation for constructive civic engagement. You mentioned earlier, we see so much shouting in public discourse today.
Yeah, it often feels like people are just yelling past each other.
And often that shouting is a substitute for actually evaluating the evidence or the arguments. So when individuals apply critical thinking skills to public discussions, it allows them to engage constructively, even on really complex, difficult topics.
Like what kind of topics?
Oh, thorny social issues, really challenging ethical issues, massive global issues, the kind of things where easy answers don't exist.
And critical thinking helps how? By not just reacting emotionally.
Exactly. Instead of just having a knee-jerk reaction to the way an issue is framed or who is making the argument, you analytically dissect the arguments themselves. What's the evidence? What are the assumptions? What are the logical steps?
So it moves beyond just taking sides immediately.
Yes. This is where we see critical thinking acting not just as the shield against misinformation or the tool for work, but maybe as a compass for navigating complex discussion.
A compass, I like that.
The critical thinker doesn't just evaluate facts in isolation. They look at the structure of an opposing argument. They can more quickly distinguish, say, a valid counterpoint from just a rhetorical trick, or actual data from a purely emotional appeal.
Which means they don't fall into those polarized debate traps quite so easily.
Hopefully not, where nobody's actually listening, they're just waiting to talk. Instead, critical thinkers are better equipped to evaluate the evidence presented by all sides and then contribute meaningfully. Maybe move the conversation towards some kind of reasoned compromise, or at least greater clarity for everyone.
That clarity, that structure, it feels vital. And the sources we reviewed seemed incredibly unified on this conclusion. Critical thinking is truly a foundational skill.
Absolutely foundational.
It empowers you, the individual, to move through the world with informed intention. It lets you make informed choices, not just guesses. Communicate effectively because you can structure your arguments logically based on evidence. And crucially, contribute meaningfully, whether that's in your community, your profession, wherever. It feels like the mechanism that turns raw experience into something more like wisdom.
Well said, yeah.
So that really summarizes our journey today quite nicely, I think. We've covered those three big areas. How critical thinking acts as that shield for objective analysis, especially now.
Right, in this age of information overload.
How it fuels innovation and adaptability in your work or studies.
Some practical payoff.
And then how it leads to greater personal maturity and more constructive civic engagement. So hopefully you listening now have a clearer map of this intellectual toolkit, something ready to help you cut through the noise and make sure the knowledge you gain is genuinely worthwhile.
And that powerful emphasis we discussed on self-awareness and making informed choices, it does raise one final, maybe challenging question for you, the listener.
Okay.
Given critical thinking's proven role in fostering self-awareness and open-mindedness, what personal assumptions, maybe things you hold true just because you've always believed them, totally outside of work or school, what assumptions might you need to start questioning today to really fully leverage this foundational skill?
Turning that critical eye inward.
Exactly, that process. That's often where the really transformative work begins.
That's a perfect and definitely challenging thought to end on for this deep dive. Thank you for tuning in and for analyzing the evidence right along with us.
Our pleasure.
Until next time, keep thinking critically.